Gidget Manning, Emily Parker, Shannon Furches, Dr. Bob Jackson, LaCosta Hayes, Linda Avery. Welcome to the second virtual Business at Breakfast. Greg Delancey. Stacey Orr, Stephanie Kelly, Tanya Hunter, Dawn Straub, Mike Hopkins, we will be starting the official Business at Breakfast in about 7 minutes, trying to allow time for everybody to get in. Rumor has it that some of you are enjoying breakfast provided by the chamber. I think Michelle and Haley did some surprise drop-offs yesterday afternoon. I was still waiting for them to drop off at my house this morning, left a key out, still nothing. But, welcome, Richard Davis. Valerie Warren. Welcome, Allie Gibbs, Heidi Schultz, welcome, Zach Dunlap. I'll also welcome our 2 phone-in callers, but I will not call out your phone number that you called in with. Welcome, Mark Welch.
Jeanette, it looks like we have a good group with us here this morning. I see people attending and joining us.
We even have people sending us chats already.
Good.
Welcome, Amy Futrell. Welcome, Kenny Roth. Paul Reister. Paul even gave us a hand wave. Look at that. Getting some shout backs this morning. I enjoy it. Welcome, Renee Pfister.
We also want to say welcome to everyone who is joining us on Facebook Live right now as well. You know, one thing, Jeanette, someone asked me is, are people going to be able to see us on here? So for all of you who are joining us in your pajamas from home, you're just able to see us panelists this morning and hear us panelists. So
The other question that came up, Michelle, is they said, are we all on mute? Yes, you are all on mute besides the panelists. So you do not have to worry about any of your background noise that comes up. I think all of us panelists are worried about our background noise that may come up, but you do not. And you do not have to worry about your camera being on this morning. But we're happy that you're all coming in. If I missed you as you entered, I apologize. Some of them roll in about 3 or 4 at a time, and I try to go back. But we're happy that all of you are here with us. Even though it may be virtual, you're still here. And we're getting just closer and closer, I think, to each breakfast being back in person, hopefully. Abby Hensley, welcome. We are just a couple minutes away from going on. I think Paul Roster gave me a funny in the comments. Let's see. You're going to put it in there. I'm going to read it off. How's that? Paul says, maybe before Jeanette and Michelle's time, I keep thinking of you going to say romper, stomper, bumper, boo. Tell me. I think that's from Romper Room. It is before my time, or at least it's before the time that I can remember that. But Paul, if next time you want to come on here and do that, I think Michelle and I would welcome him to come in. May even getting him a few more points in his Leadership Murray class if he wants to do the Romper Room welcome.
I actually see several on here from the Leadership Murray class, so happy to have them here with us this morning.
Absolutely. Welcome, Charles Taylor, Bethany Miner, Cindy Graves, David Whaley, Anston Reese, Hawkins Teague, Jim Gray, John Williams, Kevin O'Neill, Lisa Ferris, Lori Knoll. So happy that all of you are rolling in here as you're beginning your day. Amy Futrell obviously remembers Romper Room from her comment in the chat. Mark Welch says he's a member of the leadership class of 1988. We are appreciative of all of the leadership classes that have went through. I will definitely say that this last group will have something to remember as long as it has taken them to be able to complete it. Michelle and I have been trying to work to make their schedules and the events that they have missed happen. We still have folks rolling in. Welcome, Brian Overby, Leadership Murray graduate as well of my class. Matt Purdy said his class is a forever class. Michelle and I won't disagree with that, will we?
We'll see, won't we?
We will see. It's the 5-year plan. Michelle, I have one after. We're going to keep letting folks in for just a little bit longer.
I think they can join as they come in. So I'm sure we'll see people joining us. So I think we can go ahead and get started this morning.
Perfect. Like I said, if I missed you when you were rolling into the room, I apologize. Sometimes they would come in 3 or 4 at a time. We're trying to make this like you were in a room with all of us standing around the buffet table, going through and getting your bacon and of course all your fruit and biscuits and coffee. So I enjoyed the chat this morning. Each time I think we get a little bit more like we were back together, and that's good. So on behalf of the entire board, I want to welcome you and say thank you for joining us for our second Business at Breakfast. We do miss all of your faces. I'm sorry that all of you are stuck with seeing just us panelist faces this morning, but we are full of smiles. It's happy to see everybody laughing. Always very grateful for everyone who sponsors these events. Today we have Peel Holland being our presenting sponsor. Thank you so very much, Roy, and all of your team over there. We appreciate when you allow your employees to do things with us through the chamber. We have Jessica Jeffries from your office, and she has always done an amazing job with Leadership Murray and everything we ask of her. I could not be more grateful than to say welcome, Congressman Comer, all the way from DC. It's nice to have you and to see you on here. And all of our members, we could not do this without you. You are the reason that we are still here. You are the reason that Michelle and Haley work so hard each and every day, and the board works to make you more successful in this community. So it's my favorite time to introduce one of my favorite people, our CEO and president, Michelle Bundren.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. We truly appreciate each and every one of you joining us this morning. And I know we'll have people rolling in this morning as people are getting their coffee and sitting down at their desk or maybe at their home to tune in this morning. Again, want to just say what Jeanette said. Thank you so much to Roy and Peel Holland for making this possible this morning. Without members like you guys, we could not make these events happen. And I know we all want to be back in person, so just be patient with us. And I'm sure Congressman Comer will update us too on what that might look like or some projections as well. So we look forward to hearing from him. So thank you, Congressman, for being here with us this morning. Just want to give a few chamber updates before we dive in this morning. And again, Jeanette mentioned as people were joining, Peel Holland is joining or is enjoying a breakfast this morning from the chamber. So some cinnamon rolls and some muffins taken to your team. And we randomly selected 2 other businesses. So Thornton Talon Marble and ATA CPAs are enjoying some breakfast as well. So we look forward to the day when we're all back together and can be enjoying bacon and coffee all gathered in one room very soon. So let's cross our fingers that that's soon. And we'll also announcing that our annual dinner has been scheduled for October 15th. So I know we're used to doing it in July. We had to miss out on it last year, but we are so excited to have that on the calendar as October 15th. We will be rolling out our annual awards applications and within the next few weeks. So we want to hear your 2020 stories of business success. And so we look forward to seeing those submissions. So be gathering your materials now to be submitting those, and we look forward to that. We've resumed ribbon cuttings, which are some of the most favorite things we do here at the chamber. We had 2 this week, H2 Health, and then WKMS got a new transmitter. So we were happy to celebrate with those members this week. And actually today we have another ribbon cutting later this afternoon at 1. Southern Family Dental has moved, and so we look forward to seeing their new space. So come on out this afternoon, mask up, and we hope to see you there to celebrate with those members. We also have several new members, and many of them are taking advantage of our Chamber Advantage program, which I know Roy is very familiar with because it offers affordable health insurance through Anthem for members. So if you are interested in looking at that program, I know that's one way we've heard businesses save a lot of money. We had one new member join and said they're saving over $600 a month, which is a substantial amount of money for a business. So if we can help connect you to a local insurance agency and get more information, we'd be happy to provide that for you as well. A couple of events coming up. We have Membership 101, which is a great time to hear about chamber membership benefits and how you can better engage and utilize those benefits as well. So if you are interested in joining that, it will be virtual, but it's very informational and gives you access to our staff and gives you access to board members and other people who've been members for a long time to ask questions on how you can better maximize your chamber membership. That's going to be March 25th. And so if you're interested, please reach out to Haley. She would love to get you signed up and participate in that event. One of the things we love to celebrate every year is Spring Open House. So if you want to help promote Shop Local, which is something we do here at the Chamber, just to encourage people to get out and support local businesses. Our retailers have moved out Christmas, and now they've got all their spring merchandise in, and they're ready for you to come shop with them. So join them March 26th to the 28th. We hope that you will get out, or if you can't get out, shop online and support our local businesses. And one other way that we are encouraging you to support local businesses is we have just launched a new gift card program. It's an e-gift card program, and it's free for our chamber members to sign up for. And we are excited to launch that. We sent a mail out to several of our members, and you'll see that in our newsletter. So if you don't get our emails, make sure to sign up or contact us so we can add you to that, because we are very excited about this new program, allowing people from out of town to shop local through the purchase of an e-gift card, which is a MasterCard, which can be used at any of our local businesses. So we will have more information about that later, but just another way the Chamber is trying to expand the way we can help people shop and go local. And so that is just a little bit of a Chamber update this morning. Want to say again, welcome to everybody that has joined since we started. We are very excited to have Congressman Comer here with us this morning. He will get a formal introduction from Roy. So thank you again to Peel Holland. But just want to introduce today our sponsor. Roy Riley is President and CEO of Peel Holland, a regional insurance and employee benefits insurance agency with 7 locations and 90 employees. He is very involved in our regional community, serving as chairman of the board for the Carson Center in Paducah, as vice chair of the Baptist Health Paducah board, and chairman of their foundation board. Roy also serves on the CFSB board of directors, in addition to volunteering with Murray Works, which I have the privilege of working with Roy on. He and his wife, Jennifer, love living here in Callaway County and have 2 children, Hannah, who lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and works in collegiate athletics, and Cole, who lives in Murray and works as a project manager for a regional general contractor. So thank you for joining us this morning, Roy. I'm going to turn it over to you. And also want to say congratulations. I know Peel Holland just recently won Best Place to Work in Kentucky. So congratulations to you and your team. I know you do a great job, and we're very blessed to have you here in our community.
Thank you, Michelle. On behalf of our Peel Holland team, I want to thank Michelle and the Chamber team for the opportunity of being here today and sponsoring this session. Michelle, the Chamber board, and the entire team at the Chamber, we appreciate the leadership that you guys have always provided, but especially through this past year, as challenging as it has been, and all that you continue to do for our business community. Michelle, I appreciate that introduction to Peel Holland. Our business is insurance and managing risk for your business, for your employees, and for you personally. We have a team of 90 employees dedicated to their profession and ready to help serve you. Our team is driven by the fact that we passionately care. We passionately care about our clients, our communities, and our families, including our work family. As each of you know attending this morning, our success as businesses is greatly dependent upon our employees. We're only as strong as the teams we develop. We also know that employee benefits are a critical part of attracting and retaining key talent. As Michelle mentioned, the Chamber program is a key way to help the cost of your health insurance plans. It's important to know as a business how you stack up against your competition with your employee benefits program. That's why we work hard at Peel Holland to create our biannual employee benefits benchmarking study. This study gives you information about what benefits West Kentucky employers are providing and allows you to compare your offerings to your competition for talent. The benchmarking study is one of our investments in our local business community, and our thank you to each one of you. You can download your free copy, and a link to that study will be sent out after this session. At Peel Holland, we know that we are only successful because of you. Our success is dependent on the support of the communities we serve and our community partners and clients like you who are attending today. And we're committed to doing our part to reinvest. So on behalf of Peel Holland, I want to thank you for your support. I mentioned earlier that our why at Peel Holland is that we passionately care. It's my honor to introduce today's speaker, another person who passionately cares for Kentucky and the people of the 1st District. James Comer was elected to Congress in 2016 to represent the 1st Congressional District, which covers 35 counties from the Mississippi River to central Kentucky. He currently serves as the Republican leader on the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, and he aggressively advocates for reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in government. Comer grew up in Monroe County and attended Western Kentucky University to study agriculture. And again, Congressman, we do not hold that against you here in Murray. In 2000, Comer was elected to serve the first of 6 terms in the Kentucky House of Representatives. In 2011, he was elected to serve as Kentucky's Commissioner of Agriculture, where he made sweeping improvements. After his election to the U.S. Congress in 2016, Comer immediately set out to replicate his record of conservative accomplishments in Washington. This includes serving as a member of the 2018 Farm Bill Conference Committee that negotiated an agreement to pass a farm bill making vital improvements to the agricultural economy. He serves as the only formerly elected Commissioner of Agriculture in Congress and remains active in policy matters facing the farm community. Comer's leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic has been vital, working tirelessly to advocate legislation protecting school meal access for students, as well as legislation authorizing the Older Americans Act and Stronger Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act. He has championed legislation to reduce burdensome regulation and improve government transparency, and is an advocate for balancing the federal budget and reducing wasteful spending. In addition to serving as ranking member on the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, he is a member of the House Committee on Education and Labor. He is married to his much better half, TJ, and they have 3 children, Reagan, Harlan, and Aniston. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Congressman and friend, James Comer.
Well, thank you very much, Roy, and let me thank Peel Holland for sponsoring this breakfast this morning. Let me also thank the Chamber for all that you do in the community. I think most people know that the first leadership position I held in the community in my adult life was Monroe County Chamber of Commerce president when I was a small business owner and a farmer there in Monroe County. So I'm a big fan of the chambers. I know everything that you do to try to help the local businesses, like the buy local programs and all that. So I just really appreciate hearing the good work the Murray Chamber continues to do in the community. And I want to start off today by thanking the Murray State Campus Police and the Murray City Police for their expedient response to the shooting in Murray earlier this week. I also want to express my sincere condolences to the family who lost loved ones in that terrible event, and hope that everyone knows that my and TJ's thoughts and prayers are with the family and with the community. Again, thank the Chamber for hosting this, and I thought I would begin by talking about my legislative priorities and a couple of the more high-profile bills that we are voting on in Congress this week and maybe last week and into the future. But I'll begin with talking about my role on the Oversight Committee. Roy mentioned I'm the ranking Republican on the Oversight Committee. What that means is the party in power, the top person on the committee is the chairman of the committee. While the Democrats are in power by they have a 5-vote majority in the House, so it's not it's pretty close. But the top Democrat would be the chairman, then the top Republican is called the ranking member. Now, I'm the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, which I think is one of the most, if not the most high-profile committees in Congress. And I'll just give you an example of who the 3 top Republicans were before me. It was Jason Chaffetz, who, if you watch Fox News, he's on there a lot. Then after him was Trey Gowdy, who I think is fixing to get that new show on Fox News. And then after him was Jim Jordan. So you got these 3 real high-profile, famous Republicans, and then somehow I fell into that a few months ago. So I'm getting started in that role. The goal of the Oversight Committee should be to focus on trying to prevent waste, fraud, abuse, and mismanagement of tax dollars. And with all the federal spending that's occurred over the past year, there's no shortage of opportunities to identify waste, fraud, and abuse in our tax dollars. I just had attended a breakfast this morning keynoted by Senator Lankford in Oklahoma, talking about the massive debt and the out of control spending in Washington. So I think the Oversight Committee is going to be extremely busy into the future trying to identify misappropriated funds, abuse, mismanagement, waste, and hopefully we can make a difference. But certainly we can't continue to spend. You mentioned, I think Michelle mentioned in the opening window, I think things will get back to normal. I'm ready for things to get back to normal. I have been advocating for things to get back to normal. I travel a lot with as a member of Congress. So we've been having a lot of meetings in Florida because Florida is open. And I'm very good friends with Governor DeSantis. He was actually on the Oversight Committee when I first got elected to Congress 4 years ago. So I've been a big fan of his approach in Florida. And I think that as a result, you're seeing, Florida's economy booming. They really never missed a beat. And I feel like a lot of the businesses in Kentucky have unfortunately had their hands tied behind their back, in my opinion, unnecessarily, but certainly with the vaccine, with the availability of the vaccine, there's really no excuse not to get things back to normal. I'm fine with wearing a mask and social distancing and all of that, but we've got to reopen our economy. And I think that's a message that all the chambers should be beating the drum to all across the state right now with the vaccines. There's really no excuse not to reopen the economy fully, completely, safely, and to certainly have in-person schools. So that's my goal as oversight, watch over the taxpayer dollars and to try to reopen our economy, try to focus on reopening our schools. We certainly want to focus on regulatory issues now. During the Trump administration, there was a focus to try to reduce the regulatory burden on the private sector. And I fear during the Biden administration, we're taking a 180-degree turn with respect to regulations. A lot of regulations were suspended because of COVID. And lo and behold, things just worked out better while they were suspended. So on the Oversight Committee, we're really trying to focus on certain regulations that were suspended during COVID that maybe could stay suspended and, get, undue burdensome regulations. I think we need regulations. Most industries want to be regulated to a certain degree to prevent the bad actors from abusing things. I hear Republicans say, oh, we need to eliminate the EPA. I don't think we need to eliminate the EPA, but I don't think the EPA should be as activist and burdensome on a lot of industries as they are. So I think we can have a pro-business regulatory environment without being burdensome to the private sector. And that's my goal. And that's one of the big priorities for the Oversight Committee. The main focus in Washington over the last 30 days has certainly been the stimulus. We passed a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. It was a partisan stimulus bill. If you'll go back to the CARES Act a few months ago, that was a $4 trillion spending bill. That was bipartisan. I supported that. That gave money to state and local governments. That created the PPP loan program. That provided direct stimulus payments to American families making less than $150,000 a year. So that was a lot of stimulus, $4 trillion. Now, as of the day we voted on the 1.9 trillion last week, there was still $1 trillion of that $4 trillion that was unspent. So to put it another way, $4 trillion is so much money, the federal government can't even spend it fast enough, if you can imagine that. Now, the House passed and the Senate on party lines. Not a single Republican voted for it in the House or the Senate. Another $1.9 trillion in spending. So there's $3 trillion still out there that's fixing to hit. And I think prior to this $3 trillion hitting, and it's starting to hit now because people are starting to get their stimulus checks, but The big money will be when the state and local governments get their money and all the port projects and all that hits. We're already seeing inflation. If you've gone to Lowe's or Home Depot or your building supply, if you've gone to get gas, if you've gone to the grocery store, your commodities are increasing. Interest rates are starting to increase, and they're going to keep increasing. And you're just seeing signs, in my opinion, of inflation. I think when you infuse $3 trillion more into the economy, unfortunately, you're going to see more inflation. So I voted against the last 1.9 trillion for the simple fact there was still $1 trillion of the 4 trillion that hadn't been spent. And I'm starting to see signs of inflation. And I don't think that printing additional money is going to solve a lot of the problems. I think the biggest thing we can do to help the economy is reopen the economy. I've been saying that for a long time. So hopefully with the vaccine and more people getting vaccinated, you're going to start seeing more things reopen safely. Now, some good things in that last bill, there was more money for the PPP loan program. I think that's been a successful program for a lot of small businesses. We had language in there to try to help some businesses that for whatever reasons weren't eligible for the first 2 rounds of PPP to be eligible for this. If anyone listening's having trouble accessing a PPP loan program, please call my congressional office and we will try to do everything we can to help you. And that's something that we've been very busy trying to help a lot of small businesses around. We've helped a lot of banks because there's been a lot of uncertainty for the bankers that are listening on here. Thank you. You've been on the front lines of preventing a huge pandemic from devastating our economy because so many businesses have had to go to the banks for the PPP loan programs. And it's just been a stressful, uncertain time for bankers, but our community bankers in Kentucky have really stepped up and become one of the unsung heroes in this in saving our economy. There were direct payments, so just about every individual in my district is going to get $1,400 more. So I use my brother as an example. My brother's a good old boy from Monroe County, and he has 3 kids. So the last 2 stimuluses, he's gotten $10,000. Okay, and that's a lot of stimulus for an average family in Kentucky. So I think that there's just a lot of money that's being printed in Washington right now, and it's going to hit. I hope that the businesses in the Murray Chamber can take advantage of that. I hope all the money's not spent on televisions made in China. I hope that we buy local, as you all said, Michelle, earlier in your remarks, and that would be a good thing for the economy. One of the things I'm not a fan of is that the government's continuing to subsidize the unemployment. And I say that not because I'm hard-hearted. I say that because every big employer in my district has been telling me over the last 12 months, really longer than that, but just during the pandemic, that they're trying to hire more people and they can't find workers. And a lot of restaurants that have just been devastated. No industry's been hurt more than the restaurant industry. There's the regulations are being scaled back. People are being vaccinated, so they're starting to go out and eat again. But they can't get their workers to come back to work because the federal government's subsidizing the unemployment. And, that's not good policy. And I know that a lot of business owners are frustrated with that, and I share your frustration. So I think the vaccine, I think we're seeing success. There was a very small amount of money in the stimulus bill that went to vaccinations. That will hopefully by the early summer, every Kentuckian who wants to be vaccinated will be vaccinated. And I think we're making progress on that. I think I saw on television this morning, a little over 12% of America has been fully vaccinated now. They've received both shots. So that number is going to keep increasing, and that'll be good. Next, I want to talk about the environment for job creation. And that's what we all strive for in business and with the chamber, to create jobs. In February, there were 400,000 new jobs being created. So I feel like our economy's coming back. I think it's going to roar back. So hopefully we can get everything reopened. I just disagree with a lot of the policy. I don't want to sound partisan, but I think you're going to see everything, every major bill in Washington, what you've seen over the past 2 months and what you're going to see over the next 3 months is going to be extremely partisan. And we're voting, and my committee has jurisdiction over Washington, D.C. So Monday, we're having a committee hearing on Washington, D.C. statehood. Now, there's nothing bipartisan about that. That making Washington, D.C. a state is all about creating 2 new Senate seats. Make no mistake about it. It's all about creating 2 new Senate seats. And that's a toxic bill to bring up at a time when I think we should be trying to unite and focus on reopening the economy, getting kids back in school. That's what the priority should be. Our border crisis, we have a crisis at the southern border. So these are the issues that I hope we can somehow focus on in Washington, but unfortunately we're probably not going to. Now, I'll wrap up with this and then open up for questions. There are areas for bipartisanship. One will be an infrastructure bill. I know that all the road builders, all the people in the logistics industry would be very happy to see an infrastructure bill. We haven't invested in our infrastructure in America. And when I talk about infrastructure in my district, I'm not just talking about roads and bridges. I'm talking about locks and dams, because in Paducah, the barge industry is significant. Agriculture is significant, and a lot of the grain in Western Kentucky ends up on a barge and goes to New Orleans to be shipped out on containers. We have an aging lock and dam system along the Ohio and Mississippi River that needs to be invested in. So that's infrastructure for me. Also broadband. And I think you're seeing with the stay-at-home movement we've had, or work-from-home movement, the frustration that everybody has, especially our kids trying to download their assignments, us talking on Zoom and having pauses and getting cut out. Everybody's experienced that. We have that every committee hearing that we do in Washington. So this has opened a lot of eyes to the need to invest in 5G, invest in wireless, invest in broadband. And I think that's bipartisan. I know that's bipartisan. So hopefully we can come to terms on that. I don't like what I hear when they say we want to have green infrastructure or we want to have socially justified infrastructure. To me, that sounds like you're adding a lot of cost to these projects that I don't think need to be there. So, but on the premise, infrastructure is something that's bipartisan. And then this week we passed out a bill where I was the Republican co-sponsor, Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act. That's something that I was the sponsor of last session that made it through the House, but for whatever reason it didn't pass the Senate. I believe it'll pass the Senate this time, and it focuses on child abuse. And what we've seen, unfortunately, with schools being shut down, has been a rise in abuse and neglect cases in Kentucky. And there's probably been more cases than we know, because the teachers oftentimes are the people on the front line, detecting abuse and neglect in children. So another good reason to get kids back in school, in addition to they learn more in person, is the fact that teachers can identify abuse and neglect quicker than anyone. So this bill deals with that, deals with our social workers, opens up transparency, and I think is a good bipartisan bill. So for those of you pulling your hair out over my remarks, that can't you all get along with anything? Yeah, there are some issues we can't get along on, so, and we can't agree on. And I'm very pleased the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act it was my bill, and it was one that passed this week. So having said that, that's a update of what's going on in Washington. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Congressman, for that update. And I just wanted to say thank you for the House extending the PPP to May 31st. I know that was some people didn't have access to it until this year. Organizations such as the Chamber and other types of businesses, and so extending that has really helped a lot of businesses. So I just want to say thank you for that as well. I know we titled this "New Administration, New Year." So I know there's been a huge shift. You mentioned that, and you did mention some of the bipartisan things, but maybe just an overview of things you think will get accomplished, in the months ahead. Maybe some bipartisan things you think will pass, or maybe some nonpartisan things that you see. So just maybe hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think again, from a bipartisan thing, there's a desire to invest in infrastructure, but one thing that hasn't been widely reported is in this $1.9 trillion bill we passed last week, there was $350 billion for state and local government. And Callaway County, for example, do you remember how much Callaway County?
Look it up.
I mean, it's Callaway County. My friend Kenny Ives is fixing to have Christmas in April, I guess. Millions of dollars that can be spent pretty much any way they want. The city of Murray is also going to get a significant amount of money that can be spent on infrastructure. So there's a lot of money being printed, and I think that these state and local governments are going to get some money that hopefully they can invest wisely. They can invest in economic development. They can invest in infrastructure. They can plug some holes if they had some holes with respect to revenue coming in during the pandemic.
That's the estimate for Callaway.
We estimate Callaway County is going to get $7.5 million in that bill. So that's a significant amount of money for Callaway County. So I also think that there's the potential for bipartisan on a defense budget. The Pentagon, that's usually bipartisan. Also, that you should ask stuff that's not partisan. I don't think the DC statehood bill will pass the Senate. I don't think a lot of stuff that's passed the House will pass the Senate, other than the COVID bill that's already become law. So for a bill to become law, it has to pass the House and the Senate, then the president sign it into law. The House passed out a bill a couple of weeks ago called HR 1, which was their number one priority for the Congress, and it was changing the election laws. I agree we need to change our election laws, but they changed it in the wrong direction. Like Kentucky, if you remember when you voted in November, you had to show an ID. This HR 1 says states can't require voter ID. I mean, that is awful, I mean, another thing in HR 1 said elections, you can have absentees come in the mail up to 10 days after the election. And I gave a speech on the floor, and I use Monroe County as an example a lot because I can. That's where I'm from. That I would like for anyone in here to go to Monroe County, Kentucky on election day. And when a magistrate or jailer or constable wins an election that night, and then 10 days later, 7 or 8 absentees come in and they lose the election, I would love for that person to be the one to deliver the news to that winning candidate that, I'm sorry, you lost the election by 3 votes because we had 10 absentees come in the mail a week and a half after the election. You're just asking for it, asking for more people to question the integrity of our elections and things like that. So that bill passed the House on a party line vote. I do not think it will pass the Senate. So we've got a border crisis. I think people in both parties see that right now, and we've got to do something. I think you saw it by starting today. You should have started on day one, but starting today, President Biden needs to make sure that the world knows if you cross that border illegally, there will be consequences. Right now, they don't think that, and it's just mysteriously after Biden won the election, these caravans started coming. More and more people started crossing the border. 100,000 people were caught at the border last month. No telling how many weren't caught. And thousands, like 3, 4, 5,000 of these were small, unaccompanied children. So everyone agrees that's not a good thing. So there will be opportunities to try to address border security and things like that. So hopefully we can get some things done. Infrastructure would be the one that would have the biggest impact on economic development in Callaway County.
You mentioned $7.5 million coming to Callaway County. We had a question asked, do you know how much is coming to the first district?
Added that up.
We haven't added it up. It's significant. It's significant. I
Quick
mean,
math.
the average county, so I've got 35 counties. I would say the average county is getting 3 million. So, I mean, you're talking about 100 million, probably 100 million. McCracken's getting 12 million. Christian's getting 13 million.
Marshall 6, I think.
Marshall's getting 6 million. My home county's getting 2 million. My home county has an annual budget of less than $1 million, and they're getting $2 million. So, I don't know. There's a lot of money being printed in Washington right now.
We have a question here from Judge Executive Kenny Imes, who I know you know very well.
My man.
And he said, where there is bipartisanship, why is there such slow movement? You know, particularly with broadband, rural internet. You know, he said both of us at the state legislators have pushed that with providers since 2013, and you since being in Congress. Can you address that?
Yeah, there's 100% bipartisanship for investment in broadband, and as I said earlier, it's opened more eyes because of these Zooms and WebEx meetings we're having that have been disasters. So the state legislature put some more money into a fund for that. The federal government's going to keep investing in that. We've got a problem in Kentucky. I've been very vocal about it. I'm a big critic of Kentucky Wired. For everyone in Western Kentucky that's waiting for Kentucky Wired to invest in broadband over there, you're wasting your time. It is a boondoggle. It is something that was started in the first Beshear administration. Bevin could have eliminated it, but he embraced it. And this Governor Beshear, I haven't heard what he's going to do. It's an unnecessary level of bureaucracy. When I appropriate money for broadband, I want it to go directly to whoever's going to put the broadband in. So you're going to have public-private partnerships. If you can have broadband, the private companies will invest in broadband in the city limits of Murray, in the city limits of Benton, in the city limits of Paducah. But when you start getting out in the rural areas, they don't want to invest in it, obviously, because there aren't as many people and can't make as much money. I understand that and I appreciate that. That's where the government has to step in and say, we're going to do public, I hate to say subsidize because that's a bad word, but public-private partnership to invest in the last mile to make sure that we have a system to where it's connected, just like electricity and just like the old telephone line. And it's going to take a significant investment. And we need to make sure, this is my oversight hat again, we need to make sure that that money is efficient. And when you've got an unnecessary level of bureaucracy to come in and say, well, we want our cut from it, and we'll advise you on how to do it. Well, they don't need any advice. Private companies can do it. Thank you. Leave. Go back to where you came from. And that's a problem Kentucky has. And I wish the General Assembly would do something about it.
Another question for you. What are the budget deficit projections from all the stimulus?
Oh my gosh. Well, we're getting close to $30 trillion budget debt. $30 trillion. And that's both parties' fault. That's been a huge problem from George W. Bush to Barack Obama to Donald Trump, now to Joe Biden. That's been a problem with Republican speakers of the House, Democrat speakers of the House. That is a bipartisan problem, and nobody should point the finger at anybody else because it's we have a spending problem. I said that when I was running for Congress, and my goodness, the spending has just quadrupled since I've gotten here. So $30 trillion, the whole annual budget, the general fund budget for the entire state of Kentucky is $11 billion, 11 billion. We're talking about a $30 trillion budget there. So I just don't think the average person understands how much money $1 trillion is. And it's a problem. It's a problem for our children and grandchildren. And I think the Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates artificially low. And at some point, that's probably, if you're an economics study, at some point, that's going to be a problem with inflation, because the federal government, once interest rates start going up, the interest we pay on the debt will just take a significant portion of the federal budget. And you're going to have a situation where if interest rates went, I don't think they'll ever, I hope and pray they don't ever go to what they were in the late 70s and early 80s. But if they go to what they were in 1993, when I bought my first big farm, I was paying 8% interest. Right now, I've locked in the last farm loan I did at 3.3%. Okay, if they went back to 8%, the federal government, just about the entire budget would be for debt, Social Security, and Medicare. And then everything else, every other government service would be deficit spending unless the government raises taxes. So it's the biggest problem in America now is the debt. And it's just frustrating that we spent another $2 trillion last week, and there's still a $1 trillion unspent from the CARES Act. I'm just not happy with that at all. So I'm trying to do something about it. I'm fighting a losing battle up here. So we'll keep fighting.
Well, as we're closing out here, I just wanted to open it up for you for just closing remarks. But, the audience today are not-for-profit organization leaders. You've got business leaders on here. Maybe some advice to us for taking advantage of the stimulus package and some of the other bills that have been passed. But just in closing, kind of an overview to our members that are listening today. And so I'll turn it to you to close this out.
Well, thank you. I'll say this, I think the long-term consequences of the stimulus bill will be detrimental to society. The short-term is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the Callaway County Fiscal Court. It's an opportunity for local businesses to be able to capitalize. People are going to have a lot of money. These stimulus checks are already being direct deposited into accounts. Like I used my brother, that's another $7,000 that'll be deposited in his account this week. That's a lot of disposable spending, and hopefully the businesses will be in a position to take advantage of that. I think there'll be a lot of used cars sold, hopefully a lot of insurance. It's an opportunity for life insurance. It's an opportunity to pay the bills, if they're behind at the utilities or whatever. So I think that's an opportunity. We've got to keep beating the drum as business owners, as pro-business leaders, to reopen our economy, and reopen our schools. And we can't ever have government shutdowns again. We can't have long-term economic shutdowns again. We've got to figure out a better way to handle a pandemic in the future. So I think we've all got to stick together in the business community. That's why I'm a big proponent of chambers of commerce. I think you all are a great voice for the community in Murray and Callaway County. So we want to continue to work with you. If any business is having trouble with PPP loans, with anything, please don't hesitate to give my office a call. I think Marty Wiles is on this as well. She's our field rep in the Paducah office. You can call her office in Washington. We'll do anything we can to help any business navigate through the government bureaucracy, navigate through the PPP loan process, or if you're having trouble with anything, don't hesitate to give us a call. But thank you for inviting me to be the speaker today. I look forward to working with the chamber in the future, and hopefully we'll be talking next time with the strongest economy in our lifetimes.
Well, thank you very much, Congressman. We really appreciate you being with us here this morning. I know you're busy. I want to again say thank you to Roy Riley and his team at Peel Holland for sponsoring this morning's breakfast, virtual breakfast. And then thanks to all our corporate partners who make this possible as well. Again, like Jeanette said, we want to just appreciate our members. You are who make it possible for us, and we want to represent you and be better for you to help serve our community. So thank you for joining us here this morning. Definitely want to say we have some networking afterwards. So if you would like to join us where you can actually see each other and participate in some dialogue and conversations. If you have any questions, like the Congressman said, on PPP or other types of business questions that we, the chamber, can help answer, we have some board members there to help you as well. So thank you again for joining us this morning. We are going to log off here so you can get back to your day. But thank you for attending, and we hope to see you soon.